Now, your competitors that are doing this right are the ones that are actually climbing the ranks in the Google Maps section specifically. So they're going to rank higher than you because they're more active, and then they have put in all the content that Google wants from them, and they actively get reviews. Welcome to Diary of the Search Queen, the go-to podcast for salon owners ready to ditch the algorithm and get found by their dream clients on Google. I'm Sonja Raymond, aka Sonja the Search Queen, founder of the Search Republic, and after helping salons generate millions in client bookings, I'm here to show you how to create a reliable, low-stress lead flow without living on your phone. Ready to stop chasing and start filling chairs with ease? Let's go. Welcome to this week's episode of Diary of the Search Queen. This episode is about why your competitors are showing up on Google and why you aren't. So today we're actually going to speak about exactly what that actually means. So if you are a salon owner and you've thought to yourself, why am I nowhere to be found on Google? Well, this one is for you, so stay tuned. Now, the reality is when I have spoken to so many salon owners throughout my career, but specifically in the last 7 years since running my own agency, there's misconceptions around where they should be featuring on Google. Now, the reality is when it comes to Google, there are 3 places on the Google search result that you can actually appear on. The top few positions under the sponsored section is called ads, so Google ads. Then underneath that you have the map section, which basically targets local area, any ideal client in the local area that would be needing your services. And it's usually picked up on proximity based on where they are, and a lot of salon owners are in the mindset thinking that Google Maps listing and the Google business profile is the only way you can show up on Google. That's not true, but I am going to discuss it in a bit more detail in a second. And then underneath that we have SEO, which are your organic rankings, which how you naturally appear on Google. But you can re-engineer your website to tell Google you want to appear in that section too, but that's through a process called SEO, which is search engine optimization. So for the purpose of today, when I talk to salon owners, they're talking about how are all my other competitors showing up higher in the map section. Well, I'm actually going to take you through some key insights as to why they're actually appearing ahead of you. So my biggest recommendation when it comes to salon owners, when it comes to thinking about your Google business profile, if you go into the edit page and there's loads of gaps that don't have any answers about your business in there, I'd highly recommend you fill out the entire business page. So where it goes into edit profile and it gives you an option to put in all of your details, I'd highly recommend you spend some time and go through there and actually fill in the details that it asks of you, because the empty gaps actually means a missed opportunity, because you're not telling Google all of the areas about your business, every bit of important information. The more you feed Google, the system, the more that Google is actually going to show you up in those sections. More so because Google is a robot, Google is a search engine. If you give it information, it's going to index that information and serve that to your ideal client as a search result, okay, in the map section based on where they're actually located. Now, the interesting thing is as well about Google Maps and Google Business Profile is that you can actually link your Google Ads campaign to the Google Business Profile as well, which means that you'll also be at the top of Google specifically to do with your maps listing. And that is something that is a really underutilized tool when you're running Google Ads and you don't have your Google business profile linked. It's a hugely missed opportunity, so I'd highly recommend that. But go through the actual Google business profile and fill out all of the sections that Google asks of you, like such as your name, your address, your phone number, what services you have, your booking link. I met with a client last week and they had an old Get Timely link actually on their profile, and literally they don't use Get Timely at all anymore. So in all honesty, you're best to fill out the information that is required and make sure all the information is actually up to date as well. So when we're thinking about like Get Timely Forest booking, it actually literally gives you a link, gives you an option to put your booking link in there. So I'd highly recommend you make sure that the link actually works, test it before you put it in there. Now, your competitors that are doing this right are the ones that are actually climbing the ranks in the Google Maps section specifically. So they're going to rank higher than you because they're more active, and then they have put in all the content that Google wants from them, and they actively get reviews. So I'd highly recommend you have some sort of process internally in your salon or in your business for that matter, that you actively are asking for reviews, because that absolutely has a massive impact as to how you're ranking on Google as well. And when we think about, like, if you get negative reviews, you need to actually respond to them in a very professional manner, because let's face it, not everybody likes Coca-Cola, and there's going to be some lunatics out there that give you a bad review, but that should never be a reason as to why you don't look for reviews, because it's all about how you handle these reviews. And if you respond professionally and encourage contact, again, it comes across so professional when somebody's actually reading the actual reviews. So if you audit all of your online presence, this is another thing that I want to actually speak to you about, is specifically look at all the directories that you might be listed in, like any of your local directories. Make sure all the information is actually up to date there as well, because that all ties back to your Google Business Profile as well. And then, like, just making sure that if there's any changes or any broken links with your booking software or anything like that, just make sure that's up to date. It's so crucial. And another thing that I would be saying to you is that in the actual Google Business Profile, you can actually add content there. Like if you were to add an Instagram post, for example, you can put up specials, you can put up like before and afters, you can be like spare gaps today, for example. But it's in your Google Business Profile that you can actually do that. So you just put up a piece of content and you actually put up an image the same way as what you would do with Instagram. So you just use it as a social media platform like you do with Instagram or Facebook, and it absolutely works like a treat, because it tells Google that, oh, right, these guys are actively using the profile and we're going to push them up over their competitors, the ones that actually have never touched their Google Business Profile. So make sure you make that as part of your ongoing updates on social media. You can actually update it on Google Business Profile as well. That will make a huge difference to your ideal client as well as to Google, and it has a massive impact on how Google sees you collectively as a credible source for the problem that you solve for your ideal client, if that makes sense. So we need to obviously make sure that we're aware that when it comes to Google, we're feeding the system with all the information what we're about. So knowledge is power, information is power in the land of Google. But highly recommend you do an audit of your own Google Business Profile. If there's any gaps that need to be updated, just take this as your reminder. Now is the time to do that. So I hope you have a lovely day and get to work, because I know that this may sound scary, but it's a lot easier when you actually get stuck in, roll your sleeves up and just get the work done. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Diary of the Search Queen. If today's episode spoke to your Salon soul, then hit subscribe so you don't miss the next round of strategy and support. For more help filling your books without the burnout, then check the show notes and you'll find a link to the Search Republic, where we build simple Google strategies that actually work. And if we're not already connected, come and say hi to me on the gram at Sonja the Search Queen, and I'd love to hear what landed for you today.